Welcome back to Lion Recaps. Today I am going to show you a 2010 action movie called Robin Hood. The film opens at midnight in Nottingham where robbers are seen running through the woods. They begin breaking the locks of the grain storage barn and steal Nottingham's grain and seeds. Lady Marian hears the commotion outside and orders her servants to open the doors. Then she comes out holding a bow and, lighting the tip of the arrow with a flame, she fires her arrow at the robbers. And that arrow falls in front of one of the robbers. Seeing enough people coming towards him, those robbers run away. So Lady Marian and her servants went into the barn and found that they had stolen their grain and seeds. A servant told Lady Marian that they would have nothing to plant next spring. The scene shifts and we now see Chalus Castle in France where Robin Longstride walks with his companions back to the tents after hunting. There is a battle outside the castle, then a soldier comes to Robin and says that the archers have been called to battle. Robin is one of the king's archers under King Richard the Lionheart who fights alongside him in his crusades. During an invasion led by King Richard, Robin and the other soldiers fight with the passion to win against the French. A young boy tries to hang a bag containing a bomb on a castle gate, but his feet get caught in it, which causes Robin to make a bold move to save him and successfully rescue the young boy. And instructs the other soldiers to set fire to bomb bags, and they successfully detonate the iron gate of the French fort. On the other hand, in England, Prince John, the younger brother of King Richard, is in his bedchamber with Princess Isabella, the niece of the King of France. John's mother, Eleanor of Aquitaine, sees John's wife outside the room peeking in through a hole in the door. Whose face is looking sad as John is having sex with another woman? John's mother comes in and tells her son about his rude behavior, which could give France an excuse to attack them. And also asks him to return to his lawful wife and perform his duties properly. But John explains that his wife is barren and he is filing for divorce. And wants to marry Isabella and become king himself because he is anticipating the death of his brother King Richard. At night, Robin plays a mind game with the other soldiers with 3 cups and a pea. Little John says that Robin is replacing the cups without peas in them and accuses him of cheating. Little John begins to pick up the cup and is surprised to find that there is a pea in the middle cup. And Robin suddenly punches him in the face, starting a fight between them. The fight comes to an abrupt halt when King Richard stops them and asks who started the fight, and Robin honestly says that he threw a punch first. Seeing that Robin was an honest man, King Richard asked Robin a question. "What are your thoughts about my sacrifice in the crusade? Will God be pleased with me?" So Robin replied, "Not at all. Innocent people were killed because of the massacres that took place there, in which they committed barbaric acts and killed 2,500 Muslims." Because of his honest opinion, Robin and his other companions were chained and locked up. Then Robin vows that he will return home after the fight. The scene changes and we see Godfrey, an Englishman and special man of King Richard's younger brother John, visiting King Philip of France in a nearby forest. King Philip tells him that if John becomes King of England, an army of my cooks can attack him and take over England. But if King Richard lived, the French would never stand a chance. King Philip made an offer to Godfrey to kill King Richard so that he could easily invade England. And upon hearing that he would be given a great reward in return, Godfrey accepts the offer. On the other hand, King Richard was leading the British in the continuous battle between the British against the French. Suddenly an arrow shot from the wall of the fort crosses his neck. Sir Robert Loxley, the king's trusted man, takes him away from the shower of arrows and tells him to call a physician quickly. But the king is badly injured, he asks for wine, takes a sip, and dies. The young boy who was saved by Robin runs to free Robin and his companions as soon as he sees the king dies. Robin tells his companions to quickly grab their weapons and flee the camp before the other soldiers arrive. On the other hand, when Robert and his companions were going through the forest to bring the crown of the dead king back to England. So on the way, Godfrey and his men ambush them and kill most of the British. Godfrey sees the dying Robert, who has been stabbed in the chest with a spear, and asked him where is the king. He was shocked to know that the one they were going to kill was already dead. When Godfrey's companion starts to take the king's crown from the king's horse, the horse suddenly runs away and runs into Robin. Seeing that the king's horse is being chased, Robin and the other archers fight and kill Godfrey's men. Godfrey runs away, and while running away, when Robin shoots an arrow at Godfrey, he is saved and wounded in the cheek. Dying Robert asks Robin to grant him his last wish and deliver his beloved sword to his father in Nottingham. Robin had no choice but to begrudgingly agree. Robin thinks about how he can get himself and his companions across the border to England. Then suddenly an idea strikes him and he sees the king's crown as a ticket back home. Robin and his men dress as soldiers and carry the king's crown to the ship, and Robin introduces himself as Robert Loxley. Robin's men sing and drink on the ship while Robin reads the words written on the sword. So he tries to remember that as a child he had read somewhere that it was written to rise and rise again until the lambs become lions. Now everyone goes to sleep when Robin wakes up to his surprise to find that he is only 20 minutes away from London, where he will personally present the king's crown to the queen. Robin breaks the bad news to his men and says that if anyone finds out that we are frauds, we will run for our lives. The queen expects to see King Richard back, but she trembles as she sees that only the king's crown has returned. Robin brings the crown and presents it to the queen, who gives it to John to welcome him as the new king. Godfrey and his men suddenly arrive and see Robin's familiar face in the crowd. The new king asks Robin how his brother died, and Robin replies that the king was killed by an arrow in battle. Then King John leaves and sees Godfrey in the crowd and invites him in, happy to be king. Godfrey orders his men to kill Robin because he knows too much about them. Marshall approaches Robin and tells him that he and his father are great friends and that he will be visiting Robert's father in Nottingham. Robin's companions sing and eat together, and Robin separates out the spoils they have looted and divides them. Robin then tells them that this will be their last company and they will part ways after that. One of his companions asks Robin where he will go, and he says that he will fulfill Robert's last wish. One of Robin's companions who is on guard falls asleep and the Sherwood robbers in Nottingham steal their property. But then Godfrey's men arrive as they attack and Robin wakes up. Then Robin and his companions fight them and kill almost all of them, but one of Godfrey's men escapes. King John is discussing the financial costs of the army and suggests that they should be abolished. But Marshall disagrees because it is one of the late King Richard's greatest assets, and suggests that they can borrow from the market, but King John refuses. Godfrey then asks the king to let him go north and he will extort taxes from the rich people there. If they don't, they will lose their lives because that's how it should be. Seeing King John's actions and decisions, the queen tells John that Richard would never do what you are doing. John becomes enraged hearing his mother and accuses her that his inheritance has been reduced so much because of his own mistakes and the actions of past kings. The queen slaps her spoiled son and leaves the room. King John then forcibly removes the marshal from his position and gives it to Godfrey. Robin and his companions arrive in Nottingham and are not at all impressed by the state of the area. Robin then meets a man named Friar Tuck who introduces himself as a priest in the city of Nottingham. Robin asks him where Sir Walter Loxley's house is, and after Tuck answers, he bids his companions farewell. Then his companions ask Tuck where they can get wine to drink, so Tuck tells them about mead, which is honey wine. Robin saw Lady Marian cleaning the horse's hooves. Then Robin asks him about Sir Walter because he has come to give his sword to his father at Robert's request. Marian is shocked when he tells her about Robert's death. Marian then leads Robin to Walter's and is left distraught by the news of her husband's death. And while washing her feet, Marian tells Robin that she is Robert's wife and that it is better to lie to her blind father about Robert's death. Robin gives Robert's sword to Walter, and as Walter takes the sword, he immediately realizes that his son is already dead. Because his sword was with Robin, Walter is sad that he was angry with his son. But Robin assures Walter that Robert's last words were about the love of father and son. Walter touches Robin's face and invites him to dinner, and he tells him to take a shower because he stinks. During dinner, Walter asks Robin about his origin story, to which Robin simply says that he does not know his origin. But Walter knows who Robin is and where he was from, so Walter offers Robin his sword and makes him his son and tells Robin to pretend to be his son and Marian's husband, so that all this land can be given to Marian after my death. Marian is shocked to hear Walter's words and storms out of the room. Now Robin and Marian convince everyone in the village that they are husband and wife, so they have to share the same room. There are various tasks to be done together in the village, and Robin is introduced to the whole village. Now we see Robin helping the village by taking Nottingham seeds back and planting them there, as well as Sherwood talking to the bandits. Feelings develop between the two, and gradually Marian comes to appreciate Robin for his kind actions and wise words. And she has a love for Robin that she never felt with her late husband, Robert. Marshal, on the other hand, is aware of the danger that King John is about to face. And his men saw that 200 French soldiers had landed on their land. And Godfrey is wreaking havoc in the north in the king's name and forcing people to pay taxes. He kills those who don't pay him taxes. The devastation Godfrey and his men wreak in the north create a deep hatred for King John. And the people plan to fight the king by pledging alliance and loyalty to each other. And if that happens, that will be the time when the French forces will attack England during this chaos. The Marshal tells the Queen about the news, and the Queen conveys the message to Isabella, King John's new wife. The Queen tells Isabella that she is responsible for taking care of John as well as keeping England safe. Otherwise, she can never have the honor of being a queen. John is furious when Isabella tells King John of Godfrey's treachery and plan, but he eventually believes Isabella. A man then arrives with a message to the sheriff of Nottingham, telling him about Godfrey's orders to collect taxes from the villagers. The sheriff tells him that Loxley is causing a lot of trouble because Walter's son is now back home. Upon hearing this, Godfrey's men now discover the whereabouts of Robin, who is hidden here in the guise of Robert. King John visits the Marshal and tells him how the Marshal abandoned him when Godfrey was betraying him. The Marshal tells King John that he must reconcile with the people and reach out to the warriors of the north to atone for the injustice done to them. But King John refused and said he would order his army to meet the warriors in battle. Villagers dance together happily at night in Nottingham. Marshal arrives and talks to Walter about seeing Robin again. And when Marshal and Robin meet again, Walter then tells Robin the whole truth that his father was a great man. He spoke for the rights of the poor, and people were very impressed by his words and how many people supported his charter. Robin then realizes that he was there when his father was executed and breaks down in tears. Because he now knows the whole truth, Walter sends Robin to the Marshal, which is telling the warriors what is going on and that Godfrey is working for the King of France. During this maddened chaos, French forces will invade England as your people fight against their king. King John also comes and tells the people about his authority. And that's when Robin comes to show everyone how a great foundation can lead a great nation. And every village's freedom and justice should be part of the law. Everyone was impressed by Robin's words. And King John also swore to his mother that he would make the freedom of every village a part of the law. Meanwhile, Godfrey arrives and leads his men to Nottingham and wreaks havoc on the village. Godfrey asks about Robert Loxley, but Walter reveals himself instead. Godfrey whispers to Walter that he is his son's murderer, and Walter becomes enraged and points his sword at Godfrey, and he plays with it because of his blindness. Walter successfully inflicts a wound on Godfrey's forehead, causing Godfrey to fly into a rage and eventually kill Walter. The Sherwood robbers see the mayhem that was taking place in Nottingham. Then one of Godfrey's men takes Marian to a barn to rape her, but Marian kills him. Then suddenly Robin and his companions arrive just in time and confront Godfrey and the French soldiers. Robin successfully elicits from a soldier when and where King Philip's will attack. After what has happened, Walter is given a proper burial and Marian sees Robin before going into battle. The ships of the French begin to land one by one on the coast of England, while King John and the British people had already prepared for war against the French. As the French come ashore, arrows begin to rain down on them from the ridge. And then the rest of the cavalry also attack them. To Robin's surprise, Marian and Sherwood's bandits join as well. And together they all successfully won the battle against King Philip, who had no choice but to retreat. As Godfrey tries to escape, Robin shoots an arrow at Godfrey with his bow and kills him with an arrow through his neck. The French had now surrendered and the victory was in the hands of the British. Robin quickly carries the wounded Marian away and all the soldiers cheer for Robin. But when King John saw that no one was chanting in favor of the king, he became furious. In the final scene, the movie ends at a public meeting where King John refuses to sign the document he promised the people. And he even makes Robin a fugitive criminal and traitor to the state because he has come to see Robin as a threat to him. He declares to everyone that anyone who helps Robin will also be a traitor and criminal to the state. On the other hand, Robin, Marian, and her fellow archers live peacefully in the forest with the Sherwood bandits, away from the taxation and injustice of the government. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.